By the time you're watching this, it's going to be less than 10 hours away until the Bitcoin halving, and we're seeing some insane buy signals flash on both Bitcoin and Solana, which we're going to talk about in today's video. As always, let's start off with the news. Now let's start off on the news for Solana, but mainly the total cryptocurrency market cap. In the past week or two, we have seen the prices of our favorite assets dip to the downside. However, in the past 24 hours, we have seen a resurgence. Now, it is noteworthy that Solana has been moved down from the number 4 spot to the number 5 spot. Previously, we covered Solana flipping BNB, and now BNB has pushed back above Solana because Solana has dipped a lot harder during this crash. Now, I think that's to be expected considering BNB has been around for a cycle or two more. Solana is a lot newer than BNB, so it just moves a little bit more euphorically to the upside and the downside, despite the fact that Solana's got almost 5 times the amount of volume as BNB. I'm sure we'll be covering this soon when Solana pushes back into number 4. Despite the pullback though, Solana has been absolutely dominating and growing like no other. Solana in the past 2 months has been averaging more than 3 times the amount of daily active addresses as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And in the past 24 hours, it looks like we've got some new buyers. Over 1 million active wallets have interacted with the Solana blockchain in the past 24 hours. That's a 26.42% growth, and we've got 209,000 new wallets in the past 2 days. Now, we've recently talked about the Solana congestion and how developers have planned to combat this, and this has been improved in the latest version of v1.17.31, which 85% of Solana nodes have now upgraded to. And since this upgrade, we've seen a massive improvement in congestion, with TPS of 2000 per second and an average ping time allowing pretty much every single transaction to go through. Crypto influencer Anseem is going to be fighting in Dubai tonight against some guy called Barney. If you want to watch this fight, then head over to Twitter and check out the account Crypto Fight Week and you can learn more about that. Now, there's a couple of free mints that are going to be coming on Magic Eden in the next couple of days. If you want to try and mint them, head over to Magic Eden, click the mint button, and then head down to the launchpad. And you can see these are the two that I'm going to have my eyes on. Epoch.orbs, which is a free mint in 3 days, and Coma, which is a free mint in 4 days. Now, once again, I'm talking about Get Grass because I just think this is the best way to autopilot free airdrop tokens in the cycle. In the past 3 days, I saw a daily gain of 69,000 tokens, 26,000 tokens, and 24,000 tokens, which is round about 120,000 grass points. Now, if we're coming over to Whales Market and seeing how much I can sell these OTC, you can see that this is racking in 1.24 Solana. Nothing life-changing, but considering I just run this in the background whenever I'm on my PC, I just think it's a no-brainer to start using Grass. I've been using Grass for the past 30 days, and I've calculated the amount of Solana I would have gained from just using Get Grass and not doing any referrals, and that is now over 1 Solana. So even if you don't have people to refer onto this, by the way, you get extra points for referring, you can still earn a ton of points using this. And of course, the best way to ensure you're getting plastered with airdrops on autopilot throughout this cycle is to be buying the Solana Chapter 2 mobile. Price is currently $500. Once the early adopter window passes, then it is going to move up to $550 or higher. I have made a thread about this over on Twitter. I got it when it first came out, and I've already received over $500 worth of airdrops. You can see $200, $150, $40. In the past 2 weeks, I received another one for $25, and there are a bunch of smaller ones for $10, $20. So if you want to support Solana, get a cool Web3 Solana DeFi-based phone, and also get plastered with airdrops, then be sure to use my referral code if you haven't already got one. Let's now talk about the news for Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin miners are much better positioned for the halving this time around. Typically, when the halvings come, it can be a little bit difficult for miners straight away because the rewards that they're receiving are being cut in half in both BTC and at least immediately in US dollar terms as well, which means paying for their overheads can be a little bit tricky if they don't upgrade their hardware and make themselves more cost effective ahead of time. However, Bitcoin typically doesn't rally this hard pre-halving, so due to the large amount of gains in Bitcoin in the past 6 months, it's looking like miners will be able to offset some of the impact of these rewards. Why do you care? This means we're going to see a strong hash rate, and hash rate is normally a leading indicator for price. Let's now talk about the Bitcoin cumulative flows from the ETFs. As always, remember, I do post these every single day over on my Twitter at 618_cowboy and summarize all the important information, so be sure to follow me. Now, in terms of the ETF flows on the 18th of April, they were mainly neutral flows. GBTC had dumped about 90 million, However, the other ETFs bought small amounts, which ended up balancing the flows, so the total flows were only about -4 million, which isn't as bad as the previous couple of days and weeks. Now, cumulative flows at this moment in time are returning to neutral territory. I want to add this, for the past couple of weeks or so, I have been making it known when we were at much higher price targets that I was leaning neutral to bearish into this pre-halving event. I want to let you know that I'm feeling a little bit more bullish right now, and we're going to discuss why in the charts in just one second. But leading on to our final story, which is, believe it or not, going to tie into the crypto charts in just one second. Now, we previously discussed how Iran was attacking Israel recently, and it looks like Israel has retaliated and sent missile strikes to Iran. The reason why I think this is relevant for the Bitcoin markets, which we're going to talk about in just one second, is because on the onset of this news, the S&P 500 crashed pretty hard on the daily, and we're coming very close to a solid level of support. Now, also, Bitcoin tends to dump around the halving time. We've also seen a major pullback in the cryptocurrency markets in the past couple of weeks, and with this news of retaliation, this was kind of the worst case event that could happen for the markets. And with this, we've kind of seen the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index almost completely reset. Now, I say reset, yeah, I know guys, we're in 66 in greed right now. However, if you're looking at previous bull markets, typically the lowest you go in a bull market, the lowest we've gone in the previous cycle was 55 on the Fear and Greed, and we're at 66 right now. So in terms of a bull market, the Fear and Greed Index is pretty bearish right now. It's not really like you see a bull run and then you go into extreme greed. It just doesn't really happen. Now let's move this segment off into the charts. Now, with all of this conflict, chaos going off in the news in the past couple of days, weeks, with the ETFs selling into the halving event, with the Fear and Greed Index resetting, with the markets coming down, S&P 500 is crashing, one of the most important metrics, which I was talking about a week or two ago, the Bitcoin funding rates, has come down and pretty much reset into neutral. Now, these are in US dollar settled funding rates. If we're coming over to Bitcoin settled funding rates, they actually dipped negative. This is extremely important, and you'll remember a couple of weeks ago when we were at these much higher price targets like 72,000, I was letting you know, hey, the ETFs are kind of pausing buying at this moment in time, and the Bitcoin funding rates are so high. I would like to see the funding rates come down and reset before I flip back bullish. And ladies and gentlemen, they've pretty much come and flipped back down bullish. Now, we've come down to the price prediction, which I talked about for the past couple of weeks. The Cowboy family, while everyone else was 100% bullish, we were bullish on this way up. And then coming into, this pre-halving event, we were saying, hey, Bitcoin probably needs to cool off. We're probably going to come down to 60,000 before we are done. And then we're going to launch into the halving. And today, we dipped all the way down to around about $60,000. So this prediction that we've given out is now come into fruition. And what I find funny is a lot of the people who are talking these higher price targets who are saying Bitcoin's just going to go up in a straight line. Now Bitcoin's down at 60,000. A lot of them are calling for 57,000, 52,000. I've even heard some people who were extremely bullish in the past couple of weeks or so now saying that Bitcoin needs to come down to like 47,000, which is pretty crazy to me. So in my opinion, I'm seeing everything I need to switch back bullish. ETF flows are returning neutral. The funding rates have reset. We've seen pretty much, in my opinion, what is going to be peak fear before the bull run. And the halving is just 10 days away. And we've already got the pre-halving correction out of the way. So almost everything I've needed to see has lined up. And yes, I'm happy to say I'm now pivoting from my neutral / short-term bearish position into a bullish position, guys. I'm going to give you a couple of other reasons why in the charts other than what we've just discussed. Now, Bitcoin has had a strong bounce from support round about the bottom of this diamond formation. Now, do you remember we were talking about this? This is basically the same support we were looking at 60K. We were giving you a warning sign when this SFP happened above the diamond top formation, and we were calling for 60K. And this price target has now been hit, and you can see we've had a strong impulse above it. Now, technically, you would really want to see Bitcoin above 67,000 before you start celebrating. Otherwise, this could end up being a lower high and we could come for one final lower price target. Now, If that price target does come, the worst I'd personally be looking at is the macro 786 Fibonacci from the previous swing high down to the swing low at 57,800. This is currently not my prediction, but I just want to let you know, we talked about 60,000. My worst case right now is 57.5, but I am leaning more bullish in the short term, mid term, and of course we were never not bullish in the long term. We just thought we needed to get 60k out of the way. Now let's dive into a new chart and give you a new perspective. As you can see, if I clear up some of these indicators for just 1 second, you can see we're forming something that looks very much like a bull flag. Now, if you're looking at the candle body closes, it's a little bit janky, it's a little bit ugly on this one. However, if we're drawing down to the candle wicks, this is absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to keep both of these online here. But as you can see here, this is clearly a bull flag that's forming right now, and we have bounced and held support on this trend line and this trend line with the wicks and candle body closes. However, on the daily time frame, not everything is out of the way. On the 50 TMA strategy, we are still in that short confirmation that we were firing at 67,300. I think it's really important for both the matter of not making a lower high and also getting above the 50 TMA strategy that Bitcoin does see a strong impulse and we start getting above 67 and 68k sooner rather than later, and that would give us a better opportunity at breaking to the upside of this bullish flag. Now, if we're loading the EMA ribbons, 66,300 is also a very important level to get above. This would ensure that the daily EMA ribbons do not fire a bearish confirmation signal. And also, if we come over to just simply the Bollinger Bands over on the daily time frame, you can see we have absolutely wicked through the bottom of the floor of the Bollinger Bands. And typically, if you are in a uptrend that is going to continue uptrending, if you are in a bull market, wicks beneath the bottom of the Bollinger Bands often signal peak fear, peak sell pressure, peak FUD, peak bad news, and a reset of momentum, which often ends up with the price pushing back up for that next leg to the upside. However, guys, keep your eyes on 67 to 68k. If we manage to get back above this level, then there could be a lot of long confirmations that we could be looking at. But for right now, in the immediate short term, things are still looking a little bit neutral on these charts. However, I'm starting to think that a bottom could be forming very soon. Now, the last Bitcoin chart that I want to look at is this. We're going to zoom out and we're going to look at all of the corrections that have happened for Bitcoin around Bitcoin's halvings. Now, during Bitcoin's 2012 halving, the halving wasn't really something that was up for discussion that much. Bitcoin was still very, very new, and it was extremely volatile. So, small sells, small buys really did impact the price a lot. But in the first halving, we only saw a 6% correction coming into the halving before we pushed up. In Bitcoin's 2016 halving, we saw almost a 41% correction. After the halving, we did continue to break down further before pushing up into the bull run. In Bitcoin's 2020 halving, bear in mind, we did have a crash before then, but this was, in my opinion, due to interest rates being cut and also the Black Swan event. However, in the week or so leading up to the halving, Bitcoin did see a correction of 20%, and the halving literally marked the bottom. And in the halving of 2024, which is only about 8 hours away, probably by the time you're watching this, we saw a 19% correction coming into the halving. So I really do think the bottom is very, very close for Bitcoin. And this is kind of my prediction. I think Bitcoin's going to start moving up and pushing to the upside of the bull flag. However, I want to give you one alternative suggestion on what could happen. In a worst case scenario, if Bitcoin does come down to this price target right here, 57,600. Just like we had a swing failure pattern above this diamond top formation and we rocketed down, it could be possible that Bitcoin could break down after the halving, come down to round about 57.5. All of your retail influencers will be saying, oh no, the bull flag has broken, it's time to short, we're heading down to 47, and this will end up being a swing failure pattern just like the diamond top formation was. This is my worst case scenario. However, I'm thinking the fact that we probably just start to grind up a little bit more is more likely in my opinion, but something like this is what I'm expecting for Bitcoin. Now let's talk about what's happening for Solana. On the weekly time frame, we are holding that support box that we detailed in our previous videos. Our worst case scenario for Solana was $127.20. We dipped down to $122. As you can see, that was just a wick. We rocketed back up, and in the past couple of days, we've been touching the bottom of this floor and really not wanting to lose it. And now Solana is pushing back to the upside. with a very healthy gain on the daily time frame. Now, in my opinion, this is very, very likely around the time where Solana's going to bottom. Remember, we were talking about the Ethereum fractal on this channel, and we were looking at ETH in the previous bull run. These blue bar charts are simply how Ethereum performed in the previous bull run, and the green and red candlesticks are how Solana is performing right now. You can see right around the halving time of the previous bull run, Ethereum had a correction, and once the halving was out of the way, that was the bottom, and Ethereum went and made a new all-time high. This chart is one of the reasons why we've been saying, from a charting perspective, if Solana keeps up with Ethereum, it could go to $870, and from a tokenomics perspective and a market cap perspective, if Solana reaches the market cap, not of Ethereum now, but of Ethereum in the previous bull run, then Solana could go to $1,300, and there's nothing that Ethereum had in the previous cycle, or even now, that Solana does not have. So I'm really leaning on the bullish case for Solana at $1,300. Now, on the weekly time frame for Solana as well, you can see the stochastic RSI has literally come down and hit 3. It is basically at 0, and every single time this has happened so far in this bull run, these have been the Pico bottoms. These have been the best places to buy, absolutely no doubt. If you can see, the last time that the stochastic RSI came this low, it was all the way back down here when Solana was $8. The second time it was almost this low was back in June of 2023 at $13. The third time it was almost this low, it was back in September of 2023 at $18. And we also saw a not so bearish but similar bottom on the stochastic RSI back in January of 2024 when Solana was $80. So I think this chart really details my opinion on this, and you can also see we are still holding the weekly EMA ribbons for Solana. But let's come down to the lower time frames. Let's look at the 4-hour for Solana. Solana is starting to push back above the 50 TMA, which is really, really important that we get back above this level. And there's one price target I've really got my eyes on. On the 4-hour time frame, we do have resistance if we do not get above the 50 TMA at 142. This is a really important level we need to get above. On the 4-hour EMA ribbons, 147 is a very strong resistance. On the Bollinger Bands, 146 is a very strong resistance. And as you can see, since Solana topped out around about $210, we have been making these lower highs every single time we push back up. And the most recent lower high that I would love to see Solana get above, so we can decisively say we've broken the downtrend, is here at 156. If we get back above this level, we are going to have a long confirmation on the 50 TMA. We're going to see the 4-hour EMA ribbon start to flip bullish, and that could be a sign leaning into the higher time frames that we're getting ready for a reversal pattern. On the daily time frame, you can see, very similar to Bitcoin, we absolutely wicked beneath the Bollinger Bands, and similarly over on Bitcoin, if you are in a bull market, buying wicks beneath the Bollinger Bands often yield absolutely insane gains. So I do think we are very close to that level for Solana. Since the short confirmation on the daily time frame for the 50 TMA, Solana's moved from $172 down to $120. We are also pushing back above into the middle of the Bollinger Bands. The daily EMA ribbons are looking a little bit scary right now. They probably look like they're going to cross bearish no matter what. So this is just another reason why sooner rather than later you really want to see Solana back above $155 and continuing up, getting above from there around about $180. Confirming along on the 50 TMA, and then potentially sometime around a couple of weeks after the halving, Solana pushing back above and making a new yearly high before heading to the previous bull market top. And if that is the bottom for Solana, then the only level of interest that I've got in the immediate short term for Solana to come back above is to come and rival between $210, the yearly high, and $261, the previous all-time high. At which point we can start looking at much higher price targets for Solana, such as the 1.236 Fibonacci, the first extension at 320, the next extension at 417. And remember, my targets for Solana, $870 to $1,300. For today, guys, that's all I've got. If you enjoyed the video, smash like on the way out, and don't forget, if you haven't already, it's probably a good idea to pre-order your Solana Chapter 2, especially before the bull run starts. In my opinion, when alt season really kicks off on Solana, Chapter 2 holders, Saga holders are just going to get airdrops every single day. If you enjoyed, smash like on the way out. See you soon. Peace.